we have yet again another top producer spotlight, one that you can't miss, because today's special guest just 5 years ago wasn't even the mortgage industry. Last year, he funded $50+ million in volume. Last month, or I should say this month, he's going to do $10 million in volume in just 1 month. Okay, success is there if you're willing to take direction, listen to your coaches, and implement what you learn. And today, Chris Kloc is going to teach us everything he's learned, everything that went well, everything he would do all over again, as well as a couple things that he wouldn't touch because after further review, it didn't quite work out. Mortgage lenders, mortgage brokers, loan officers, branch managers, you are in for a treat. This is an episode, quite honestly, 5 years in the making. Check this out. They don't teach this shit in school, but they should. Welcome to the Loan Officer Podcast, hosted by me, Dustin Owen, one of the most influential people in the mortgage industry, along with my friends who've lived it, built it, failed at it, fixed it, and scaled it. This is not a show just for mortgage professionals. This is everything I learned because I became a mortgage loan originator. This is the Loan Officer Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children 18 plus. You are tuned in to the Loan Officer Podcast with me, Dustin Owen, and a very special guest. This dude flew in today from Chattanooga, Tennessee. He's originally from the DMV. 6 years ago, he didn't even know how to spell mortgage. Today, he is one of the top 1% lenders in the entire country, which makes him one of the top 1% earners in the entire country. He's a dad of 4. He's an ex-college soccer player. And this guy is T-Lop through and through because before he even got his license, he was binging the Loan Officer Podcast when driving from one refereeing job to the next. He is my friend, and he is a first-time guest, the one, the only, Chris Kloc with CrossCountry Mortgage, a part of the Summit Division. Chris, welcome to T-Lop.
Man, that's an intro right there, buddy.
Yeah, you think I would have been like prepping for it all day. All day long. You've been prepping for this since July of 2025.
Well, 7/7 to be particular, because I've got a kid born on 5/18/18, 4/20/20. That's my pop baby. 2/22/22, and I was trying to have my next kid on 7/7/25.
Wait, that's when, so funny story. So Chris and I connected 5 years ago because you were a listener of the show. So you're OG. Like you're as OG as OG comes if you're tuning in 5 years ago. But Chris and I, we had a deal, didn't we? Like 3 or 4 years ago where you said, one day I'm going to be on the show.
Yep.
And I think I said to you, the minute you become a top producer, you're invited. Mm-hmm. And then you reached out to me and you're like, I did it, dog. Like I did it. I was like, let me redder your ass. And I did. And I was like, oh, okay. So you agreed to come on the show last July.
Yeah.
But I ended up in the hospital.
We both did. So my wife decided to go into labor.
Yeah.
You know.
She decided?
Yeah, she decided.
Yeah, it wasn't God or it wasn't.
No, it was about her.
Yeah.
It was about her in that moment.
Yeah, because she's on baby 4. So at that point.
Yeah, she could control it at that point. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we came down and she was having contractions. We're like, oh, this is kind of weird. You know, we're at one of the malls or something. And, so we ended up going into the hospital. And then you decided to go in the hospital. And it was just meant to be that we flew back the next morning.
Oh, my gosh. It was the craziest thing. So, y'all, for anyone who's been following along at home for the past year, I've gone through this journey where I ended up with AFib. And I explained to you when you and I went to lunch, like, dude, you get AFib for trying hard. Like, only cool kids are doing it. It's super easy. If you want to go get it, here's what you do. Fuel your days with caffeine, celebrate your evenings with alcohol, and do some things like endurance training and then couple it with like, working all the time. So I go to the hospital on a Sunday and I'm kind of laughing it off because I didn't feel bad. And so Chris and I are texting. He's like, yeah, I'm on my way. We're gonna do content. And I was like, hey man, FYI, I may be a little bit late. I'm currently in the hospital, but I should get out. Well, my long story short is it was 4 days in the hospital before they got me out of AFib, which meant I blew through our opportunity to record together. But then you were like, LOL, look where I'm at.
Yeah.
And you're at Winnie Palmer Hospital with your wife, who was basically having like, was it pre-contractions?
Yeah, I mean, it was. I don't remember what it's called, but I mean, I guess I'm an expert dad because I have 4 kids, but I don't remember what it's called. But we thought, she thought she was going into full-blown labor, and we were going to have to name the baby Orlando or Flo Rida. I was thinking about Flo Rida, like Christopher
it's
Flo
a girl.
Rida.
Oh,
it is, but we could have done whatever. It's 2026, dude.
Okay.
Come on.
Oh, you call her Flo?
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
can just call her
Flo-Rida.
Flo.
Flo-Rida.
Flo-Rida.
Flo-Rida. See, there you go.
I like that. Look at Special K coming through for
Special K.
us.
I see you.
I love that. No, but this is an exciting time because you and I finally get to do this. And here's what I want to do for the audience. I'm going to walk them through your journey, right? Because there's a moment in your life just 5 years ago when you weren't a mortgage lender.
Yeah.
Right. But you did 28 transactions your first year in the industry. Mm-hmm. You then took that to like
78 in 2022.
78 to
it's kind of mid the years when the rates started jumping, or maybe the beginning of the year.
Okay. So 78 to 100
and something, 101, 2, 3, 4.
Yep. And then
150-ish, right around 150. And then
last year
a little bit under 180.
And then this year will be roughly.
There's no way we're not over 200. No way.
Yeah. And the one commonality, you've had great leadership.
100%.
You've had good mentorship.
Mm-hmm.
But you've been coached.
Yes.
For the past 5 years.
And a supportive wife at home. Let me be super clear about that.
Hey.
Yeah.
You
can't do it without that.
It took me about 14 years of marriage and several rounds of marriage counseling to realize how important.
Takes a special spouse.
Yes, how important that is when you're trying to do extraordinary things. So that's what we're going to talk about. But first, we're going to take a little brief pause. Got to pay some bills.
Oh, come on.
We want to hear from today's show sponsor. Then we'll be right back with Chris. Check this out. Y'all, something big is happening at Lower Mortgage. And if you're paying attention to this industry, you've probably noticed. In just the last month alone, Lower has added some serious horsepower. We're talking top producers representing over $350 million in volume. These aren't rookies kicking tires. These are heavy hitters who've done their homework and made the move. That should tell you something. On top of that, Lower just acquired Movoto, a top 5 real estate portal with over 150 visitors just last year. Before that, they brought in Neat Labs, and now they're launching Lower OS, a next-gen mortgage platform that's cutting loan delivery times down to 10 days. This isn't a company standing still. Lower doubled their volume last year, and they're projecting another 40 to 50% growth this year. The best in the business are taking notice, and they're voting with their feet. Here's the reality. The companies that are going to win in this market are the ones investing in technology, building real infrastructure, and competing at scale. Lower is doing all of that. They're going head to head with the Rockets of the world, and they're built for originators, not against them. If you're a producer who wants to be a part of something that's actually going somewhere, not just surviving, but growing, this is the moment. Lower Mortgage, the momentum is real. All right, so here's kind of where I want to start. You graduate college where you played soccer, mm-hmm. right? You played defense, and you ended up refereeing soccer, and that was maybe part of your backstory.
Yeah.
I think your signature story is really cool, right? Your signature story, for those that don't know, it's you and I both learned it from Renee Rodriguez. Mm-hmm. I coach it now when I put people through my launch boot camp. It's one of the 12 courses is signature story. But what's your signature story so the audience can know? Because I think that's a good place to get started. But then I want to talk about, once we know your signature story, what were you doing prior to mortgage and what made you want to get into mortgage? Let's spend 3 or 4 minutes just on that.
Yeah. So, and would it be helpful to go through the framework of how it works, or just actually tell it and then you can dissect it if you want? What do you think?
Yeah, no, just give people some background.
Yeah.
We all have an origin. We all have a place that we come from that shapes us, and where you came from shaped you, and it's something that makes you a great originator, but it's also something that you share to realtors to convey what homeownership means to you and how well you're going to take care of their clients.
Yeah, and I tell this in every buyer's consultation too.
Okay.
In particular, I am super passionate about the way that you build wealth in the U.S. is through real estate. And so I remember when my wife and I were buying our first house, and she was crying, and I was like, "Hey, babe, why are you crying? What's going on here?" And she said, "We've moved 3 times since we've been married. This is the 3rd time we're moving." And I went, "Okay, what's wrong with that?" And she said, "I haven't moved since I was 5. I went, "Well, that's kind of weird." And she said, "No, it's not. How many places have you lived?" So that night, I literally just got a piece of paper and I wrote down all the places I'd lived. And I realized that I had lived in 20 houses by the time I was 22.
Wow.
And I wasn't a military kid.
Wow.
So one of those times.
How many schools do you know?
It wasn't a ton of schools.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, it wasn't a ton of schools. It was just, I mean, my parents are, and I want to be clear, and I actually always say this afterwards, but my mom and dad are incredible. And so it was really weird for me to be able to try to figure out how to tell that story and still give them honor, because like my dad's a loan officer and he's doing super well. I got him into the business.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I got him into the business a year after. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and so like my parents are incredible people. So like I don't want them to feel like they have any shade in that, but they high school sweethearts, and they had me when my dad was 3 months out of high school, maybe 4 or 5. And so it was live with mom and dad to maybe uncle and aunt to, hey, times were hard, to living with the cousin, to 6 months in an apartment. Like I think they short sold at some point when arms and stuff were happening in 2000. We got evicted from a house when I was in high school. And I remember the cop knocking on the door and like, hey, you got to get out. And we snuck through a broken window that night to get all our crap out. But I don't remember that ever feeling like a sob story. I just was like, all right,
yeah, that was life.
What's going on? It's like, whatever. Yeah. So I had never thought of it like that. But then I realized in that moment, oh, that is strange. And that's not a normal thing. So I became really passionate about the education side. And I remember even probably, I mean, shoot, because, you end up, like, I want to pay my debt off as quick as I could afterwards, because, like, I didn't want to be in that type of situation. So I was literally overdrafting on my bank account because I was aggressively paying my student loans off. Yeah. Because I wasn't actually managing the books. I'd pay a $30 fee because I tried to pay off as much as I could. And I lived in a sunroom for 4 or 5 years, like, not any bigger than this at all, with a bunch of dudes, because my whole goal was keep costs low, and it wasn't about wealth building. So I think back on it now and knowing what I have access to, like, I could have used down payment assistance. I could have bought that house and it'd be paid off. I could have built a quadplex with an FHA 3.5% down loan and owner occupied and moved out after a year. Like, there's so many things I could have done.
As the sign says above your head, the ish they don't teach in school.
And so this is inspirational to me.
Yeah.
Like, deeply inspirational to me. And so that is my passion is behind that.
Your signature story is that. But you know what's interesting? We just dropped an episode a few days back on niche, whatever you want to call it. And not to bore the audience with telling the story of a podcast you can go and just listen to or watch on YouTube, but I don't believe that we as loan officers make our riches in the niches, meaning like, oh, I do nothing but bank statement, nothing but I-10, nothing but DSCR, and that's how I make my 400, 600, 900 grand a year. But I think our niches is our process, our approach.
Yes.
Our niches is even our personality. Like, I would say one of your niches is you're an educator, right? You're an educator first because you're inspired by the things that weren't given or displayed or even taught to you. But once you became an adult yourself, you learned it. So I like knowing people's backstory because I think it shapes who we end up becoming.
100%.
And for you as a servant leader, like when you go to serve your community, you're serving your community with the knowledge that you wish maybe even your parents were getting at 18 when they're newlyweds with a baby that I'm sure no one gave them, right? Because your parents, like my parents, didn't do anything out of spite. They did everything out of love.
100%.
Right? I had tons of love, tons of discipline, even had tons of structure. But there's certain things that they didn't learn in school and their parents didn't teach to them that once maybe people like you and I found that information, we're like, never again should anyone else have to feel that way. Let me go out of my way to disseminate that information.
So life happens too. I mean, my dad's the hardest worker I know. He literally totaled 3 cars in 2 months because he was working 2 full-time jobs, falling asleep at the wheel. My mom's got a lung disease. Like, all this stuff, like, life happens, but like, you got to overcome it, and they have.
So
and I have.
So how old were you, or how far out of school were you before you became a loan officer?
Let's see. So 2 years as a truck driver manager, 7 years as an underwriter at a big insurance company, and then hit that. So I graduated at 21, so 9 years. So
cool. So you were 2 years in logistics. Then you were 7 years?
7 years as an underwriter.
As an underwriter.
In the insurance industry.
In the insurance industry. How did you pick mortgage, or better yet, how did mortgage pick you?
Yeah, so we were talking about this a little bit at lunch. I'll keep this a little bit more brief, but there's essentially a parable in the New Testament that's the parable of the talents, and it's about Jesus essentially giving people different talents as in money, and them investing it or not investing it and burying it. And so that became really convicting to me, as almost feels weird, but almost like a midlife crisis at 29. We were pregnant with the second kid. We're trying to figure out, like, And I kept thinking, like, am I going to be sitting at this desk? I'm not going to be an underwriter for 30 years.
Yeah,
What am I
because you're
doing?
probably making 50, 60,
I was
70
making
grand a
60
year.
after 7 years of being there, getting multiple promotions. And the next step I actually applied 3 times for an accelerated leadership program inside of Unum, shout out Unum, and they denied me all 3 times.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That has to be a kick to the ego.
It was, and it was crazy because I knew that I knew I could take some next steps. So I don't have a chip with that.
If they
as
could
much.
see
I got like a
me
little bit. I got
now,
like a little
like,
chip.
yeah.
I got a little chip. Just
Yeah,
so-
we all have little chips. I like chips on the shoulder. I look for loan officers when I'm hiring to have chips on their shoulder. I'll straight up ask somebody, "Where's your chip? What put it there? How big is it?" Yeah, I like chips. So you did that. You're 29, but you're telling a story about
got convicted about that, and I searched for about a year and just diligently. I don't think of different types of jobs that you could have. Inside sales rep at Unum, and COVID happened, so they shut that down. So that, AccuV contact sales, medical device sales, looking at a whole bunch of stuff. And then
so you were seeking.
I was seeking 100%.
Cool.
And then so I found Bigger Pockets.
Yeah, the website or in the podcast too.
And I've spent the yearly membership, the $300 or whatever, and I bought the Burr Method of Investing book by David Green, and I read that. I listened to probably 100 hours of YouTube stuff through Bigger Pockets. And then we decided to house hack. So it was like, okay, cool. Found a duplex. We're going to house hack, change some rules. Long story short, didn't work out. Asked a friend, help me do this. He said, talk to my realtor. Realtor introduced me to my now branch manager, one of my branch managers, Clarence.
Shout out to Clarence.
Shout out to Clarence. And
Clarence
for having
has a
that
home
relationship.
with his parents.
Yep.
And Clarence's parents have a real good marriage.
That's my claim to fame at Summit Division of CrossCountry is a little bit of M&M on the
Oh, no
karaoke.
way.
Yeah. We might need to do like an outtake.
Oh, that was
video or
8 Mile,
something.
by the way. There's people at home that are like, what the heck is that? By the way, it's a reference to the movie 8 Mile.
Yes.
Karina, have you seen 8 Mile?
I have.
You
I
have, because that
I
probably
have.
came out the same year you were born.
That was a really
Probably.
good movie.
Nah, she's not that young, but yeah, pretty close.
When did it come out?
I would guess 15 years ago.
Oh.
It's more than that.
You think 20?
I graduated college 50. It was, yeah.
Oh,
It's
okay, look
probably
that up.
20.
Okay,
It's
Karina's
probably
going to
20.
look
We
up
need to know.
when the movie 8 Mile
need to
came
know.
up.
Is this-
She'll circle back to
Is
us.
this Jamie from Rogan? Is she Jamie?
Well, it's Special K.
Came
Yeah.
out 2002.
2002.
I was
Yeah,
turning
yeah.
1.
You're turning 1. Okay,
Wow.
so she was born.
Wow.
Okay,
That's
anyhow.
25 years ago.
Yeah. All right. So, but you were introduced to Clarence when you, as a wannabe first-time real estate investor, were trying to buy a duplex.
Yeah,
house
trying to
hack.
buy a duplex,
Yep.
house hack for a year, moving to the next one. We already had our first house. And then we decided, or we went to the bathroom at that time. And right after the consultation's done, and we're both, PG, but we're standing at the urinal. And
You and Clarence, not you and your
Clarence.
wife.
Yeah, not me and my wife.
We said we. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, you and your
Yeah,
wife go to the
yeah,
bathroom
not-
together?
not
I
this
thought
time.
only girls went to the bathroom together.
Listen, we're tight. So,
Okay, so
4
Clarence went to the
kids,
bathroom,
4
you went
kids.
to the bathroom, and it just so happened
So
to be
we're standing at the urinal, not staring.
staring at the wall.
Standing.
No, guys stare at the wall.
I
Like
said,
you're staring at the
How
wall. You're
PG
not
is this
looking
supposed to
down.
be?
You're not
I
looking
did not
over.
ask him how deep the water was or cold. I didn't say anything about that. So I don't look at him in the eyes. I'm staring forward, and I say, Clarence, you guys trying to hire anybody? And he's staring at the wall as well. I said, yeah, who you have in mind? And I said, me, what are you talking about? I kind of turned to him, and he's like, all right, let's finish up here, buddy. And we talked for 20 minutes, stayed in the bathroom, and he said, I was going to hire you, or I was going to talk to you. And I'm like, no, you're not. So that day, I actually left, and I drove to, in Chattanooga, it takes about 8 hours to get to Raleigh. And I refereed a game at Duke, and then 2 nights later at Carolina.
Yeah, because you had a side hustle.
Yeah, I was a
where
professional soccer referee.
You were a professional
I was on the
soccer
ACC,
referee.
the SEC list.
Yep.
Yeah, all this different stuff.
Traveling the country, making 20 grand a year as a part-time gig. Yeah,
And then so on the way there, that's when I discovered T-Lop.
love it.
And I listened to hours of T-Lop.
I'm sorry for you.
It was freaking awesome. I couldn't believe there was a podcast called the Loan Officer Podcast. It's pretty easy for the algorithm to find it when I'm like Loan Officer Podcast and it pops up. So listen to that on the way there, and on the way back, listen to T-Lop stuff. And then there was a video that my CEO, Todd Screama, put out.
Shout out to Todd.
Yeah, shout out to Todd. And
Very influential, great leader in the industry.
It was about, here's the 10 things that make a loan officer. And it felt like it was God breathed, just like, this is you.
Yeah.
And so I sent it to my wife, and I said, I found it. And that Monday morning, I sent Clarence an email, this really long email I still have. In the beginning was essentially, I will ask you if you want sugar or cream, just hire me.
Okay, let's stop there because there's a huge lesson to be learned. I coach this. I talk to half a dozen LOs every single day And that's not including the ones that we're coaching. Like these are people that reach out because we have a free service that we started a couple months ago called TLOPS Career Advisory. So with that, I'll give anybody 10 or 15 minutes. And my idea is this. I give borrowers 10 or 15 minutes, whether they do a loan with me or not, whether they buy or not, whether they qualify or not. Like, I'm going to give you that time. So if you're in the mortgage space, I'm like, reach out. Like, we have an entire service. You can find it on our website, or you can hit me up on LinkedIn, and I'll spend 10, 15 minutes. Well, through that service, I'm talking to half a dozen LOs every single day, and it's probably the highlight of my day. But I will tell them straight up, especially the newly licensed ones, I'm like, you got to be willing to work for free because you are an apprentice. At the end of the day, and I use my dad as an analogy because I bet my dad's last couple of years as an electrician, he was making a couple $100,000 a year. But that's not where he started. He started digging ditches. I mean, people looked at him at 19 and said, you're not good enough for anything but digging ditches. And he said, sure, I'll dig ditches. And then that was called an apprentice. Then after an apprentice in the electrical world, you become a journeyman. Then after a journeyman, you become a master. Right? So in the loan world, it works the same 100%. Exact way, but so many want to come in as the master. And I'm like, no, Chris Kloc was willing to literally get coffee and cream.
You got to put in the work.
If it meant someone would take a chance on him. So you go to Clarence, hey, I really want this. He's like, bro, chill out.
Yep.
Like, we want you, but there's a process. And you onboard.
Yep.
What was those, like, for the viewer tuning in, how would you describe your first 12 months? Like, what went well, and what would you go back and do all over again, and what would you stay away from?
Such a great question. So we had this program called the MLA program, Mortgage Loan Apprentice Program. And shout out to Tony as well. So Tony Holland and Clarence Hawthorne, they're co-branch managers still to this day. And there was a process of building that out. So there were some kinks in it, but it was essentially you're an apprentice under a loan officer. Clarence was mine. I do 20 loans under him. He gives me guidance and support and things like that. I'm kind of doing a hybrid of this right now with a couple people. Jesse Brown right now is he's on his own, but he's having my team basically give the rubber stamp. It's okay. You're not going to ruin your reputation because you don't know this crazy guideline that you didn't even know existed until the loan blows up.
So in Chattanooga,
it's
Tennessee,
like insurance.
Like you have a way, probably not often, I bet you're very selective, but if there's loan originators in and around Chattanooga, Tennessee, you have your own variation
if they're within a couple 100 miles, we have a brand. We have people that are in Atlanta, people in Knoxville.
Okay, yep. So it's a mortgage loan apprentice, type role. So you are able to kind of beta test that.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, and so funny enough, I mean, I think I had 27 people in my class, and I'm the only one that lasted because the industry ended up some rates and all the things, right? Stuff
and
happened.
That's normal, by the way.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be. This is supposed to be hard. I keep, I tell people like it's supposed to be hard to make good money. So I think it's kind of crazy that people will potentially want to get after it or want just the results. Yeah. You know how hard you have to work to do that? I mean, I worked until midnight a lot for the first year and a half. So that first 12 months, I'd say the first thing is put in the work.
But when you say put in the work, like, were you studying guidelines? Were you working on spreadsheets? What does work look like?
I was generating so many referrals that I didn't. I had to process
there we go.
It. So the key is it's all sales producing activity, right? I'm coached. You have a coaching company. I'm a coach at my coaching company, and the big thing for us is that I always talk about is I'm sure you have something like this, like a freedom tracker or a greatness tracker.
Yep.
Something
But ours is called the Blueprint.
Yeah.
Yep.
It literally, I mean, my thought process is my life at work should be dictated by that. And so, and I'm sure it's structured a little bit different, but, you have the top is I got to see people in person. The next thing is I have to have a couple people I break bread with a day. I need to make intentional sales producing phone calls that are 10 to 20. I always try to do 20 if I can. You're going to do 2 thank you notes a day. You're going to do an event once a week. You're going to do keeping track of your referrals, how many you have, how many turn into pre-approvals, how many are actual contracts. Know your numbers.
Novel concept.
Yeah, I know, right? And then the other piece that I think is really big is actually looking at your calendar, printing it out, and then color coding your calendar based on, am I in front of somebody doing a sales producing activity? So if I'm going to work a 10-hour day, I literally want 8 hours in front of somebody or on the phone.
So we're going to stop there because that's the big takeaway. Especially, I don't care if you have been licensed for 1 day, licensed for 1,000 days. If you're not generating 20, 30 leads a month, if you're not funding 3-4 loans a month, which that's many of you, probably 60% right now.
Probably more than that.
I was going to say 70, but I dialed it down just to be polite and just to be nice. Give people the benefit of the doubt. It all comes down to you are not completing an activity tracker. And like you said, Chris, It doesn't matter if it's the greatness tracker, right? Whether it's the freedom tracker or at T-Lob's Originator Coaching, we have the blueprint. And you asked, or you said, I don't know what exactly. For us, 10 meaningful conversations
100%.
a day. Like that's like, I have a top 10, and in rank order, number 1 is 10 meaningful conversations per day.
I doubled mine. That was that was a thing. I just doubled mine.
Well,
for the first 12 months.
He's a friend of ours. He's a friend of the show. He's been on the show. PJ Crescenzo.
Yeah,
and
I talked to PJ.
Yeah, and PJ, when I introduced him to the blueprint, he literally said, "What if I do 2 times?" I'm like, "I would expect triple results." He goes, "What if I did 3 times?" I said, I would expect 5 times the results." I mean, I'm not saying it was because of the blueprint, but I can tell you this: PJ went from being in a brand new market and knowing nobody to 2 years later doing $100 million in personal production. It all comes down to activity and being willing to put in the work. And it's like, don't take it from me, this old hat over here. Take it from Chris. Like, Chris is a solid decade behind me in life, right? You're 15 years behind me in the industry. You're crushing it because you were willing to get after it starting day one. When I tell you to have 10 meaningful conversations, the next question is like, what makes it meaningful? I'm like, really simple. Is the person you're talking to someone that can and wants to do a home loan with you? I don't care if it's a 585 credit score. Just yes or no. Do they want to do a home loan with you? Or can they? Okay. Next question is, a person you're talking to somebody who can refer you consistent business.
Yep.
Think realtor, builder, financial advisor, divorce attorney, etc. Third question, there's only 3 you have to ask. Is the person I'm talking to somebody that can refer me to people who can refer me consistent business? For example, if I'm talking to a title rep, because maybe I'm doing my Tuesday status update calls, and I ask that title rep to introduce me to a real estate investor, to a home builder, or to a real estate agent, that was a meaningful conversation, especially if I can hit them with my favorite 4 words when you combine them together. Not my favorite 4 words individually.
Who do you know?
Who do you know? Like, this is what you're a master at. We're going to get to Chris is a master at turning one loan into multiple leads and then using those leads to build more referral partnerships in his market. So we're going to get there. Maybe that's how we'll close out the back half of today's show. But I love that you stressed, because it's kind of like, you say things, but to have someone like you come in who has the production, and you're like, nope, everything that you coach and teach is what we also coach and teach. It's also what I did. I'm like, this is what the people need to hear.
Don't have shiny object syndrome. I think and I'm the social media piece. I know that a piece of it's important. I get it, but I don't know. For me, it's like, hey, you're going to spend 30 minutes making this TikTok video or whatever. If you would literally call people for 30 minutes, you'd make way more money. And it's a less crowded space because people won't get on the phone and add value.
Yes.
And it's not a real person. Like, sales is connection. You need to be connected to people. You need to have conversations. And so if you're afraid to get on the phone, then you're not in the right industry.
If you're
afraid to, and just go back to that question about the 12 months, went to open houses every single weekend, no matter what, rain, shine, had multiple kids.
What was your goal
wife
for
didn't
going
want to
there?
go, carried him myself. Like, doesn't matter. I was at open houses every
Was your
weekend,
goal to get a lead, or was your goal to meet an agent?
It was to have a conversation, to bring a open house survival kit with some goodies in it, to essentially say, I got an open house survival kit. I had cute kids. It cut sales tension, sales resistance. Hey, how's traffic? How'd you get the listing? Can I call you on Monday and see how it went? Awesome. Bye. 3-minute conversation. Call on Monday. Robin Lavasser taught me one of this on one of our Friday sales calls. She said, no means yes. And so I started changing those Monday calls and saying, hey, Dustin, it's Chris. I had that crazy kid that peed in your backyard. I mean, Kidron, he's wild. I know, crazy ginger. He's just like me. I didn't pee in your backyard. Hey, how'd the open house go? Awesome. Hey, would you be totally opposed to meeting for 15 minutes and seeing how I can potentially help you make some more money? Would that be a bad idea? Well, it's not a bad idea. People don't want to be in opposition, so no means yes. And so when I switched that, I got a 50%, people would say yes 50% of the time, to 90% overnight, just with that one
By the way,
tactic.
you're reading the book right now. That's straight out of Chris Voss's Never Split the Difference. One of my favorite books. Like, when people say, what are your top 3 books? I'm like, number 1, Atomic Habits. Number 2, Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. Number 3, Extreme Ownership by Jocko.
Yeah,
like,
I love
that's
that
probably
book.
been my answer for the past 5, maybe 7 years. I'm sure there's others I could add to that list, but man, that's a great starter kit for anybody. And shout out to Robin, because you've learned a lot from her.
A lot.
Right, a ton. So looking back on those first 12 months, what's something you did that you wouldn't do again?
I'll give you one other thing that I think is helpful because it's paired with about 2 years in, Jim Reed asked me for me to teach a class on something, and he said, hey, go through your top 40 and where did you meet these people? And I found out that 32 out of my top 40 were buddy introductions. And I
So
didn't
top
realize
40,
that.
by the way, referral sources.
Yeah, top
Yep.
40 referral sources. So I keep track of that. I mean, I literally have a sheet where they have to stay on the top 40. You have to do a certain amount of business. We have to be in active relationship, and you have to have referred me somebody in the past 60 days.
Okay.
So otherwise, I'm moving you to a rekindle.
Tons
Yeah.
of intentionality there. I
Yeah,
love it.
very much so. But I would literally call in the beginning. I called my database and I'd say, hey, did you buy a house? Who did you buy it with? Did you like them? Will you call and introduce me? And that's all I did is I asked that over and over and over again. And that turned in, it wasn't a
Wait a
buddy
minute.
introduction like, hey, Dio, you're a realtor. Can you introduce me to Special K? It was, hey, you bought a house before. Who was your realtor? They will pick up for a past client. I wasn't not a genius, but I didn't realize like that was actually the magic right there was they will do a favor for a past client.
Okay, so you're calling like
People in my sphere.
Yeah,
of
you're
work, 'cause
edifying-
I'm not in the real estate industry right now.
You're edifying everything I know, everything I believe to be 100% true, and everything I coach and teach right now. So thank you, because it just shows it works. Which I know it works, but sometimes you have people on the outside.
Well, they think new technology is going to replace you, and it's like it doesn't replace conversations and connection.
I once had someone say, I was doing a free masterclass, by the way. So free, Free, free. Kind of like this podcast is free. So if you don't like the fact that we do like bantering back and forth for the first 7 minutes, fast forward and say thank you, because we're doing free content. But anyhow, we're doing a free masterclass, and you always get trolls, and I love them. I'll banter back and forth. But he basically goes, oh, this guy's saying nothing different than, and he named like 5 of the people that I respect in this industry that also coach and mentor.
Yeah, like what's their net worth?
Yeah, and
What's yours?
Yeah, well, I didn't go there.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
didn't go there.
that's the sassy way to do it.
There's some that will, and don't get me wrong, there's a certain part of that I love, but I try not to. But my response was, and we all say it because it works.
Yeah. Silly.
And you're on this call because you're looking for something that works. We're telling you what works, and you basically want to say, no, it doesn't, because you're not willing to try it or to stick with it. Because, yes, most people are looking for the Ozempic shot for their business, and you're like, no, there isn't one. So the open houses, but you're on the top 40 list. So that was something you did early on. Like something you did early on is recognize
coaching.
that your friends connected you to some of your best realtor relationships.
Correct.
But you had to call them to ask. Now, and what does that
100%.
sound like? When you call, let's say you call Karina. So you and Karina went to college together. All right. So you're going to call Karina, and you're going to ask Karina for a referral to a realtor. What does that sound like?
Yeah, so it would actually be very intentional, so that they don't feel they're baiting and switchy. So I'd be like, "Okay, Special, what's up, girl? How are you?" And it would be super genuine and be like, "Hey, listen, this is super crazy. I know I haven't called you in a while. I literally have an assignment from my coach. I have to give you a call, and I got to ask my top 200 people that I know, like, and trust. Do you know any real estate agents? So I got to talk to you about that. Guess what? I'm on 192. So you made the list. It was barely, because we haven't stayed in touch. So I would do something like that where it's bannery, because that fits me.
Yeah.
I'm trolly, right? I have like a little bit of that in me. So I would do a piece of that, and then I would just start the conversation. Be like, listen, it's a survey. I got to ask you 3 questions. Is that cool? Can you help me out? And they're going to help you out.
Yeah.
So it's not more complicated than, have you bought a house before? Did you know I was in real estate? I teach this to agents all the time. They can do the same thing. Call your top 200. This whole nother topic, it's too long to go into.
Yeah.
But call your top 200 and just literally talk to them once a quarter and have an event. And the initial conversation is, did you know I was in real estate? My coach challenged me to ask these questions. Did you know I was in real estate? How did you know? So then you can start getting some data on how in the world did they know I was in real estate?
Yeah.
Is it social media? Is it all this other stuff? And then, hey, if you think of somebody in real estate, who do you think of? You're reprogramming them to think of you, right? And then the last question is something along the lines of, well, hey, would you be open to just introducing me to them? Like, I'm trying to meet people like that. It sounds like you love them. Like, they were great for you. Awesome. Can you introduce me to Daniel?
Oh, is she going to send a 3-way text or an email?
No,
or what
I
is-
asked them to call. And I'm like, listen, I know this is weird. People don't call, but can you call?
Wow. Okay. And then after she makes the phone call, then
Then she says, I made the phone call. Here's his number. You can call him or her.
wow. Yeah.
It's
So
just
that's
too much.
some-
There's too much connection for them to say no.
Yeah.
There's just too much.
Yeah. So you did that early on in your career then.
And my first agent that ever believed in me, that's awesome. Shout out Daniel Staub. My wife's cousin is now a realtor that we got into the industry. His mom's a big agent in Atlanta and stuff, and he does great. I have a house listed with them right now because he works for him, and he introduced me to Daniel, and that was the first guy that believed in me.
And
he does a bunch of business.
You and Daniel do how many roughly?
Probably like 10 a year.
Yeah.
Like a realtor, 10 a year. Yeah,
10. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's huge.
And then just recognizing
those are unicorns. By
Todd
the way.
introduced me to that guy I was telling you about, Asher, that did 220 deals in his 5th year of business. It's just the continual always looking for that connection, and then making sure they know I'm going to add value. I'm not going to make you look bad.
So 3 things you did really well coming out of the gates. Mm-hmm. Besides, you did hire a coach, which I commended you. I commended you because you're not making any money in those first 6 months. Yet you came in and you said, I have some money aside. I have money to invest in my business. I'm going to hire a coach because I recognize what coaching is going to do.
This stuff is too complicated for you to try to do it by yourself.
So you hire a coach, you get on some kind of an activity tracker, and you actually follow it, right?
I didn't know you couldn't. I think I had been at the corporation, if they told me to do that and I didn't do it.
You got fired?
Yeah, you'd get fired. So I think about this all the time. Like, guys, you know that this is what you're supposed to do. It's your homework. Do your freaking homework.
Yeah.
Turn your homework in.
You relentlessly worked open houses, not because you're looking for buyer leads or borrowers. You're strictly building relationships. Need a reason to follow up with somebody on Monday.
My client is an agent. I've always thought a realtor is my client. I've always thought that.
Yep. We coach and teach it. Realtors are your clients, borrowers are your customers. And we do certain things for clients and certain things for customers.
100%.
And there's certain things we do for both. And then your third thing was you leveraged your top 200 VIP list to actually pick up the phone, have a conversation with you. You didn't beat around the bush. You kind of got to brass tacks. Yeah. You used humor as a way to lighten the mood, but more specifically, you point blank asked them, will you call that real estate agent on my behalf and let them know I'm going to be reaching out to them and who I am to you?
Exactly.
Okay, so all of that worked. That in itself, if you want to tune out, turn off, switch over to Rogan or Ed Milet, Mel Robbins, do it. But I think we're going to get some more nuggets out of Chris. You might not want to go anywhere.
TLOP Unite is not your typical mortgage event. This is the first ever TLOP cruise experience built exclusively for originators. And for 4 days, it's not about the speakers, it's about you. We're talking breakout strategy sessions, real conversations, curated events, and uninterrupted access to a community that helps you grow. If you're serious about taking your career to the next level, this is where you need to be. Space is limited and the price is right. So click the link now and learn more.
What's one thing that you look back on and you kind of put your hand to your face and you're like, oh, I probably shouldn't have done that.
A buddy sold. I didn't know what the 2-step close was.
Okay, let's get into 2-step close then. Let's talk about this because you and I off camera were like, I've done both, and maybe I haven't been trained to the aspect that you are. Walk me through why you love the 2-step close and explain to the audience the difference.
Yeah, so a 1-step close is going to be just essentially showing up to one meeting, right, with a realtor and then expecting business from there. And obviously, like doing the proper follow-up, whether that be stopping by the office, doing a mailer of some sort, postcard, sending a video message, calling them, text message, whatever it is.
Newsletter, social media, all that, right?
Whatever your follow-up is, sending them a book.
Yes.
Wherever it is. The 2-step close, the framework of the 2-step close is so simple. And Todd and Jim both taught me this. The framework is, I know that I'm going to ask them their motivation, why they got in the industry. I'm trying to see if it's a good fit. Are you a primary breadwinner? Are you actually pursuing business? Are you in growth mode? Those are the 3 things that are important to me. And I need to have a minimum. Now, I need to have a minimum if you're doing a certain amount of buy sides.
You like primary breadwinner.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I love that. Primary, like growth mode, definitely.
Yeah,
so primary
side gig. Like, you need to be hungry.
Correct. Yeah, like mine's always been, are you full-time? Are you professional? Are you in growth mode?
It's very similar.
Yeah, but I like primary breadwinner. It gets a little bit more granular. Okay, so you want growth mode, primary breadwinner. What's the other one?
I don't know now.
Okay.
I said it in different order.
It doesn't matter, yeah.
Yeah. And then so you're trying to get them to tell some sort of story that has to do with them getting into the industry or their motivation. And then just the sales psychology behind that is you're immediately trying to go into, okay, so you're building out the perfect robot lender here. Tell me 2 or 3 things that are just non-negotiable that you have to have. And you pause, right? So the sales skills piece comes in because you can follow the script and you can be like, tell me the 3 things, and then you're done. The pregnant pause, the timing, the curiosity, the leaning in, like this is where the magic's made.
Yep.
And so inside each of those, and you're going to have different personalities, different disc profiles. Somebody would be like, hey, it's communication, it's this, it's this. Well, guess what? You need to go back and dig a little bit, right? Hey, okay, cool, I totally get it. I'd write those down. Communication, and tell me, Dio, what do you mean by communication? Because everybody means something different.
Yeah.
Let them explain it. Communication means pick up if you don't call me back in 3 minutes, then you're dead to me. I'm like, cool, we're not a good fit. Bye.
Yeah,
like that's
exactly.
not going to happen in my business because I'm more of a concierge service. That's not the way it works. Not me personally. I mean, my team you can get a hold of a little bit quicker. So you're digging, and it's why, and you want to get like really uncomfortable with the why to the point where it's, hey, it's communication. Why is that important to you? Well, my customers get upset if they don't. Blah, blah. Okay, well, and what happens if they get upset? Oh, well, they're going to get mad, and they're not going to refer me people. Well, if they don't refer you people, what does that mean? Well, my business is going to crash. What if your business crashes? That sounds weird that you would go down that rabbit hole, but if you do it properly and you say, hey, this, you can kind of cut the tension if you start to feel it. Hey, this might be a weird question. And hopefully I'm not digging too deep, but what would that do to you? And it's like, well, crap. I mean, I don't want, and then all of a sudden you'll get to the nugget and you'll be like, oh my gosh, I did not know that was the motivation. And they didn't either.
Yeah. I mean, it's sales psychology 101, but so few of us are ever taught it. And then we don't practice it.
You do that 2 or 3 things. And then you say, give me 1 or 2 things that you just can't have. Non-negotiable. If I do this, then it doesn't make sense. And then give me 1 reason we wouldn't work together.
1 reason we wouldn't work together. Okay.
You want an objection.
Yeah.
I need an objection.
Yeah.
So I
already have a lender, Chris.
Yeah. And I go, well, then Dio, why are we meeting? Like, I'm fine getting uncomfortable with it.
So you don't even try to like overcome that.
No.
You answer.
Yeah. Well, why are we meeting? I mean, there's got to be a reason we're here.
You talk and act like someone who's already read Never Split the Difference versus someone
Yeah.
who's now reading it for the first time.
I know a bunch of the people that coach me.
Okay.
So
yeah.
And then in the midst of that, I'm breadcrumbing. If they say communication, I go, cool. When we meet again, ... I'm going to show you these Tuesday updates. I think it's really going to impress you. Like, you're going to see my consultation overview for my client. I think that's really going to make a lot of sense to you because, I mean, shoot, you want to be able to write the offer at 3 a.m. You don't even need me because I've already told you how to do it. So there's some breadcrumbing aspects that take place. And then the last thing is just literally assuming the close. I've already breadcrumbed it once or twice. Hey, so here's what I want to do, Dio. And I'm going to start pulling out my calendar. I want to look at our calendar and see if maybe next Tuesday or Wednesday's best. And I'd prefer for you to come to my office so you can see the process. I want them to get them. If I can't, I can't. It's all good.
Yeah.
It has to be in person. I will not do Zoom for a second step. I will do Zoom for a first step. But I will not do it because I'm working with people now that are about 2 to 2.5 hours away. I'm trying to expand reach. There is a key here. I'll tell you what, Chattanooga, Nashville, Knoxville, there is about 150 miles, 120 miles, 100 miles. That is where the bread is. There are people that are doing 15 to 150 buy-sides that you don't even know exist in small-town America.
And they're driving 2 hours to get to your office?
No, I will go to them.
You'll go to them for
and
that
I will
one.
schedule it intentionally on a Monday so that I'm traveling.
Yeah.
Like, I'll do all that stuff.
Yeah, but the second meeting
It has to be in person.
is in person, and you're bringing to them
The value. I'm bringing them my laptop. I'm showing them the consultation. I'm literally demonstration closing them, and then I'm doing a PowerPoint that's based off of what they said. So you said communication. Guess what? It's always the same thing. So I already have everything saved. I have hey, here's what a consultation overview looks like. Here's what a Tuesday update looks like. I have all of that to be able to give to them. So I have collateral that I put in their hand. And then at that point, that's when I ask for the business at the end of it.
Yeah.
So do you think it would make sense to work together? And I'm just going to pause. My ask is I want an interview. And I'm going to wait and see what they do. And I'll wait 3 or 4 seconds. If they say something, they say, you got it. Or this is an interview. I say, no. An interview is you got to see me work. I want your next 5 referrals.
You want 5?
Mm-hmm.
Love it. I've only
I
asked
say,
for
listen,
2.
if I do well on one of them, I mean, shoot, only 20% close anyway. So
Yeah.
I need you to see a closing A.
Yeah.
And B, like you think that you did us a service by giving me somebody that's got a 420 credit score. Like that's not any good for either one of us.
Dude, love this. So 5, and that's your 2-step close. What I tease this a little bit, and I don't want to keep the audience hanging on for too long. Something you started doing, I think about a year or 2 ago, and I know you learned it from one of your senior leaders in your organization, who her claim to fame. I mean, she goes out and tells real estate agents, "You refer me 1 that closes, I'll refer you 3 back."
2 back within 12 months. 2 closed transactions within 12 months.
Okay, you're not quite there yet.
I am
But
working my way up. But
you're
I'm
working your way
I'm
up.
still making a value prop. Like, I have a dialer that calls and sets appointments with qualified realtors. And part of that value prop, it depends. It's different. They split test different stuff.
And by the way, y'all, he didn't have that dialer those
No,
first
of
4
course not.
years. This is what happens when you hit 50 million and you still want to reinvest. Now you can afford things like a dialer.
What's the buy back your time principle? If I'm making
Damn
$600K
Martell,
and
yes.
you divide it by X and it has to be a 4 time, I'm not paying them $75 an hour to do it. I'm paying them like $20 an hour. So I mean, it's like a 10X.
No, I always I look out for, I've been doing this long enough that I always know what the audience is thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, well, of course she funds all those loans. Look at her team. I'm like, no, she built the team after, right? Of course Chris is going to do 80 million this year. He has a freaking dialer. It's like, no, he hired the dialer after he'd already figured out how to do 40 or 50 million on his own. But anyhow, yeah, you now have a dialer calling agents to schedule appointments, but what are they saying when they
Yeah, and they change it up. I mean, some things like, we switched companies recently. Summit was acquired by CrossCountry, so I might tell them, hey, talk to them about construction loans, VA 0% down. Like that's something that I want to start creating that niche and that avatar because of a bunch of different reasons. I mean, my passion is for first-time home buyers, but if you just do DAP all day long, like you can't be profitable. It's pretty tough, and those people aren't as grateful. Even though you have these awesome stories, they're still like those are the ones you get a 3.5 out of 5, and you're like, you had a bankruptcy 13 months ago, and I literally got you in a house with zero out of pocket. Calm down, lady.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the dialer sets appointments, and it might be just they'll try it out every couple months, but they've used one that's really effective is, hey, for every 3 closed transactions, Chris will send you one back.
within 12 months.
Within 12 months.
Okay, how are you doing that?
A process. Everything's a process. And so that
Written
process.
down probably?
100%.
You have an SOP?
Yep, got an SOP for it. So in my initial conversation, I will ask, within a 5-minute conversation, I will literally ask, I'll be like, awesome, okay, so Ashlyn's going to give you a call. She's going to get some basic information, set up a time for us to meet. We take all applications over the phone, so I let them know that, hey, it's because that application is, if they send you a link, some other lenders send you a link, it's convenient for the lender, it's not for you. So I'm already programming them. If they're going to talk to somebody else, they're going to see something and they're going to be like, oh, yeah, Chris is different. And so I will say, hey, by the way, and this is kind of crazy, we haven't really talked a lot yet, but do you have anybody else that's thinking about buying a house? Just let them process.
No, I don't. All my friends are broke.
Okay, all good, all good. Well, Ashlyn's going to give you a call. Boom, move on.
Yeah. 1
out of every 7 or 8 times, I get a referral from that. Then Ashlyn, I incentivize her. She's my front-end person. If I don't say, shout out Alexander Bougemois Aliege, I'm going to get in trouble because that's my boy Alex who's been with me for 3 years.
Okay.
And Amber Vaught. So shout out.
Shout out to the team. Yeah.
Shout out.
The dream team makes the magic happen.
Yeah. So she will make that call. And then inside that, when she's pulling credit, she will say, hey, do you have anybody else that's thinking about buying a house? And so now we've asked
and you
twice.
want the name. You want the name and the phone number.
I want a name and a phone number.
You'll make the phone call.
And I pay her $25 for every referral. And she gets fired up by it.
Well, you see, most people say, hey, Karina, if you ever come across someone who could use my services, would you please give them my name? Yeah, it's who do you know? Yeah, who do you know? So you're hitting them with who do you know 3 to 4 times.
So that's
throughout
twice.
The process.
And during the consultation, I will tell them, I'll tell my signature story and then say, hey, a business reason, part of the reason that we do it this way is because I don't pay for any advertising costs. I don't want to, this mug is not going to make me any money if I'm on a billboard. So I'm going to rely on you. Like if we do a really good job, can I have your commitment to connect me with your friends and family, anybody that ever talks about a house? And I will make them say yes. Yeah. And then at the end of the consultation, after we've added a ton of value, we've got it written down, they know what their payment is, everybody's high-fiving, say, hey, I have 2 requests. One is I need you to call Asher, and I need you to tell him I took care of you. Can you do that for me when you leave here? Dopamine hit for that realtor. I did a good job connecting with the right person.
Okay.
And then it's last question. Have you ever heard of a reticular activator?
Yep.
And then I go into, and I'm sure the audience knows something about this, but it's along the lines of what kind of car do you drive? You drive a Corolla. How many Corollas are on the road? 1 billion. What car did you have before that? I had a truck. Do you see trucks anymore? No, you don't. Guess what? You're going to be thinking about buying a house all the time. Everybody and their mother's going to be talking about it all of a sudden. Can you connect me with somebody if they ever talk about it? Is there anybody you're thinking of right now?
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, my neighbor talked about that they want to buy an investment property.
Cool. Okay. How about this? And I know you're heading out and everything. why don't you talk to him tonight? Can Ashlyn give you a call tomorrow and see if we get permission just to give him a shout? Is that okay?
Sure.
Cool. Okay, awesome. So then I'm just getting that accountability on the back end so that we can follow up.
Yeah, tons of intentionality. I absolutely love it. Chris, your success is obviously well-earned, right? Like, people say, oh, it's well-deserved. Like, no, it's not deserved. It's well-earned. Like, you earned
you put in work, baby.
Every bit of this, and you're still a student. Like, you're still being coached, but you're also coaching others, both inside your organization, outside your organization, which, I have learned. I mean, if you ever want to truly be a master, learn it so well that you can teach it.
100%.
Is there anything that we missed or we left off of your story?
No, I think that there is the team piece comes over time. And I think that is the next step, is you have to end up hiring the right people. Like, I recently read an old classic, what's that red book where you get the people on the right bus? Oh, it's super famous. I can't think of it right this second, but there's...
Well, you said bus, something energy bus.
No, it's
and red book
Good to
was,
Great. Good to Great.
Oh, Good to Great.
It's
yeah.
Good to Great.
Okay.
So there's a chapter in Good to Great that talks about getting the right people on the bus, and I'm very passionate about that. Like, my loan partner Amber has been with me for 3.5, 4 years. She is my right-hand person. She handles everything for me. She has a hyper accountability. Like, same thing with Alex, same thing with Ashlyn. I've had other people on the team before, and it's hiring the right people. Somebody told me this about a year ago, and it's been really impactful. I think about it often. If you want to make up to 250, you have to have really good sales skills. If you want to make between 250 and $1 million, you need to have great processes and systems that are put in place. And if you want to generate more than $1 million every year, you have to impart vision on other people and for them to enact it on your behalf.
Yeah.
If you're a licensed originator who's closing loans, but you're not consistent, this is for you. If you're brand new or just looking for motivation, trust me, this is not for you. Most LOs don't need more information. They need structure. They need proven processes and somebody to hold them accountable. T-Lob's Originator Coaching gives you weekly live coaching, scripts top producers actually use, and step-by-step business systems you can implement immediately. Not someday, we're talking day one. You're not watching videos alone. You're executing in real time with other originators who take this seriously. Right now, you can try it free for 2 weeks. That's 2 full weeks for free. You'll sit in on live coaching calls. You'll get access to the frameworks and see exactly how top producers run their business. If it creates clarity, if it creates momentum, or even if it puts wins on the board, you keep going. If it doesn't, no worries, you can cancel. No pressure at all. Click the link, start the 2-week trial, and finally, build this like a business, not a side hustle.
I mean, so it's interesting because there's parts of that I'm thinking John Maxwell, 5 levels of leadership, right? Like level 2 can get you that $250,000. Level 3 gets you closer to the $500,000 to $1 million. But if you ever want to get $1 million plus, you got to go level 4. And very few of us ever get to level 5. And then I know you're reading the book Traction right now by Gino Wickman. When you get into Gino Wickman, he talks a lot about right people in the right seats. Like, there's even something that we're going to be implementing here at TLOP, which it's get it, want it, capacity to do it. So GWC. And all of a sudden, when you're team building, you have to be able to run that GWC. Is the person that you're putting on your team, do they get what it is that you need them to do? Like do they understand it? Have you trained them? And then the W is the hard part. Do they want it? Like, is this just a JOB for them, or is this like a career that they want to serve and be great and improve and be in growth mode themselves? And then the last one, C, is capacity. Like, do they even have the capacity to do it? Like, are you putting a C player in an A role and getting mad that they're not giving you A effort? Like, it's not my fault, coach, that I can't run a 4.40. Like, I just can't.
Yeah,
like, I don't have that talent. Yeah, if you're putting me in a role that requires me to run a 4.4, we're always going to lose. That's on the coach for putting me in the wrong role.
Yep.
And I think too many times when we're hiring and team building, we don't look at GWC. Do they get it? Do they want it? And do they have the capacity to do it? But, I think what I've taken from this is you're also an active learner, right? You're a student where you pay people to coach you. You're now a mentor, which helps you get better and stronger. You believe the things that the people tell you to do. You seek advice from others and you implement, and you do it over and over.
reps.
With reps, and you're obsessed with it in a good kind of way.
100%.
In a good kind of way. You are all in.
Well, I'm
times
passionate
two.
about it. Yeah,
passionate. I like that.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%. And it's all about that. And honestly, sometimes that creates problems, right? Like, not that I have any marital problems at all, but like, my wife is such a meek and quiet, supporting person that, you know, a year and a half in, I think somebody said something about how's the business going, and closer friends, and she said, yeah, it was pretty hard about the first year. And I looked at her, I was like, oh, it was? Yeah. I didn't even know. I had so oblivious, classic husband, so oblivious because I was so hyper-focused. And that is part of my coaching, is making sure that there's the integration that takes place. And I can always work more. I'm a workaholic. Yeah. I have it in my blood.
Well, you like to do it.
Yeah, and so I have to figure out, like, being disciplined so that I have an 8-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 9-month-old. I have to be home. Yeah. And so you get dopamine hits over and over and over again, answering the emails, picking up the phone, getting another deal, and you don't get that same dopamine hit getting home in the same way. And so, like, that is a challenge always to myself, because my first obligation is to God, then my wife, then my kids, then my community, then my work. Yeah. And I mean, you can't just neglect any of them, but that is the order of operation. And so sometimes that gets a little bit out of whack, and you gotta reel it back in.
We have to find that harmony. Like, that's 100%. A big part of 2026, and what I'll be coaching at the end of the year with my business planning is, I'm not a big work-life balance person, but I'm a work harmony person. Yeah. Like, work-life harmony. Let's do this. 3 last questions. First and most important, if people want to find you, connect with you, reach out to you, how does someone get a hold of Chris Kloc at CrossCountry Mortgage?
Yeah, they changed it all, because CrossCountry is great at branding. So, I mean, I went from no referrals or anything from ChatGPT and the internet to now I got a whole lot because all the branding's lined up. I think it's Chris Kloc Mortgage Team on Instagram, on Facebook, on everything. I mean, feel free to email me. Like, I talk to people all the time. If somebody's interested in getting into the industry, that's actually a passion of mine. My dad, Jesse, that I'm currently mentoring, one of my friends, Terrence, one of my friends, Mike, Mian. I literally have, at our branch, we're super unique in the fact that we have 8 loan officers, and literally 5 of them are over 80% of the volume production for the branch, and they were all outside of the industry 5 years ago. I'm the veteran.
I love that.
All of them are outside the industry.
I love that for you and for your branch. I said to you at lunch that I don't think anybody does a better job than I do at taking people and helping them launch their careers. I may have to eat my words one day in the future. I think you guys are going to give me a run for my money.
I love it. You got to have drive and grit, and like emotional intelligence, and you can go take over the world in the mortgage industry.
Yeah.
Chris.Kloc at CCM.
I was going to say it's Chris.Kloc at CCM.com, and Kloc's with a K.
With a K.
So
K-L-O-C,
it's Chris with a C, spelled the normal traditional way, .KLOC at CCM.com. Cool. Totally. Next question. You've read a bunch of books. Mm-hmm. What is one of your favorite books, a book that you make sure that your mentees read right out the gate? Right out the gate.
Psychology of Money.
Psychology of Money?
I love the Psychology of Money.
Who wrote that?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good answer. Good answer.
So Psychology of Money is, I actually think it's a great marriage book too, because my wife and I read that book, and we moved into our house that we're living in now, and we were talking about keeping the rental or not. And I wanted to keep it as an investment property because I understand real estate, and my wife wanted to sell it because she didn't like the debt. And we read that book, and we literally flipped positions. And I wanted to sell it because I saw the opportunity cost of the $150K that I could go do something else with in real estate, i.e. build a quadplex. My wife wanted to keep it because of the security of, if everything went to crap, we could move back into the first house.
What'd y'all do?
Well, we kept it, of course, but hilariously, it's on the market now. So that was 3 years later, but she's more bought into, like, we're actually building a quadplex with it.
The Psychology of Money. I love that.
It's so good. And it basically gives you, and I buy this for borrowers and real estate agents all the time, or buy back your time for real estate agents. But the premise behind it is the way that you view money is from your childhood. I am hyper conservative financially, or I was a lot more than I am now, because I see leverage and I understand it more because of upbringing. And so the same thing for her.
Awesome. Last question. One piece of advice that you make sure that you're parenting your children with.
Oh, wow.
That it wasn't taught to you.
Oh, man. That's an impossible question, Dio.
Well, pick one of your favorite. Like one of your favorite. If I'm growing up in the Kloc household and it's 2026, like, what's something you're instilling on your children that you had to learn the hard way?
Yeah, I had a great childhood. I mean, we got our butt beat, but my kids get spankings too. Like I got some wild stallions that I'm trying to tame. I'll say one thing: we don't watch a lot of TV.
Okay.
And it's a lot more intentional time. Like my kids play outside. They're playing Legos. They're doing action figures and stuff like that. And I think the TV will break the family up. And so I'm pretty passionate about that. My wife's even more and better than I am, because at the end of the day, like when it's bedtime, I kind of want to watch an episode of The Mandalorian with the kids because they freaking love it.
Yeah.
But we're disciplined about that. The TV's not raising the kid. And I think 90s kids were raised by the TV a little bit more.
Yeah, and maybe your kids are still a little bit younger. Like for me, when I think about that question, it's like, okay, what are some things that my parents weren't able to give me? Because they gave me a ton, and they gave my sister a ton. But it's like, my parents weren't teaching me Rule 72 when I was 12. My parents weren't asking me, what were my cost of goods sold when I was doing a little baseball card stand.
Yeah.
But like my children at 12, 14, and 16, we're going to have them on the show. Now that my daughter's 18, we're going to do a whole entire episode that's like going to be called Growing Up Owen, where I'm bringing both my children in.
Cool.
And my wife's warned me. She's like, they're going to roast you. I go, please let them roast
Yeah.
me. I said, but I would like to get their take as young adults. Like, what was it like? Because I was relentless. Like, we couldn't get through a dinner without me giving you some kind of a business lesson, even at 12. Because these are all things that I wished I had taught me. I didn't know how to think big, right? I was,
right there.
Yeah, I was taught work hard and everything else will take care of itself. And don't get me wrong, that's great advice. We don't do anything half-assed. Like, that was something instilled in me. Be a good human. Like, okay, like all of that. But there were some other things as it pertains to investments and leverage and scale that I just didn't get it. And I don't know if
I think they're a little bit too young right now. I
Yeah.
think that's like
Okay.
we're just starting to talk more about that stuff a little bit, but it's the highest common and the lowest common denominator, right? We're watching Mandalorian, which probably a 4-year-old shouldn't watch, but we got an 8-year-old, so the 4-year-old's watching it. But at the same time, sometimes you end up conversation-wise, you talk in the middle between the 4 and the 6-year-old. So we haven't dove into that as much, but that is something. You said Rule 72. I mean, that's a big thing I'm passionate about.
all right.
And just understanding the opportunity cost of your money. I think that is such a big deal. Like, you can go do X with this money, but there is an opportunity cost to do something else with it.
Yeah. Bonus question.
Ooh.
You have a chance to sit down with 18-year-old you. You got 10, 15 seconds with 18-year-old you. What are you going to tell you?
I would say everything happens for a reason. And I've had a lot of people that have said, oh man, I bet you wish you would have gotten in the industry younger. And I do not have that feeling at all. I think that I should have gotten into it exactly when I did.
Yeah.
Because of all the different experiences that you have. Kids, 30 years old at that point, owned a house already, multiple careers. That's what made me. So don't try to skip steps.
Love it. Y'all, mega producer, only 5 years into the industry, and very much represents the future of mortgage lending. If you're looking for someone to look up to, someone to chase, someone to be more like, I mean, you don't have to look that far. Chattanooga, Tennessee, Chris Kloc is his name. Chris, thank you so
Thanks
much
to
for
you.
all of your time today.
Dream come true.
Karina, great job on producing today's episode. Y'all, my name is Dustin Owen, and you just tuned in to Loan Officer Podcast. I don't know if you've been tuning in for the past 5 years or you came here just because you're a friend or colleague of Chris. Nonetheless, I say thank you. If you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple, do me a favor, do yourself a favor. Go to our YouTube channel and click subscribe. We are TLOP Entertainment on YouTube. The reason why I say that is if you like free content, we have an additional 400 pieces of free content on the YouTube channel that you just don't have access on Spotify or Apple. But if you like to listen to podcasts like I do, Spotify and Apple, that's our jam. When you're there, give us a 5-star review. That is how we let other people know that this content does not suck. He's Chris Kloc, she's Karina Mojica, and I'm Dustin Owen. That is all the time we have for you today. We do look forward, though, to catching you on the next episode of the Loan Officer Podcast. Peace.